r/AskReddit, what was your biggest backquote? We need to leave now moment. 6th grade school field trip, basically an outdoor park with some woods, volleyball courts and fishing. There was a shack in the woods and apparently an old man lived there. He came out of his creepy shack with a gun and started yelling at some of the kids. A lot of the kids were crying. We had to get on the bus immediately and the police were called. That was the end of that tradition. Had a knock on my door, opened it to find some salesman trying to get people to sign up for at high-speed internet. Half humored them, since I wasn't thrilled about my internet, but during the conversation one let it slip that they knew where I worked. Tried to play it off as, well, we provide service to such and such Air Force base, so we probably got your information from there, but that base has some 30k people and highly unlikely there is some comprehensive list. He started asking questions about my employment, which was pretty sensitive at the time, and the conversation was getting uncomfortable. They hadn't provided IDs at this point, so I asked, and they provided some faded, hardly legible copies, and then asked to come inside. Pretty promptly shut down the conversation and told them to leave. Talked to neighbors later and no one else had them visit. Not sure what they were after. My old apartment had an outdoor swimming pool for residents. We were swimming in it one day with my 1-year-old son and another family was also there swimming. They had 3 kids swimming, while the mom and her sister were off to the side chatting on the patio. Their kids were probably 3, 5, and 7. I was swimming with my son when I saw my husband's eyes bug out of his head and said, "Let's go now." While I'm gathering our stuff, he whispers that he just saw the 3-year-old poop diarrhea out of their swimsuit into the water. As we are packing up, we then notice the mom noticed the kid has shit in her bathing suit. She has the kid take off her bottom bathing suit, put on some underwear and let her and the rest of the kids keep swimming in the pool. I was so horrified, but I also am not good with confrontations. We went back to our app and called the app manager, who then had to go down to the pool and close up the pool for cleaning, which takes 24 hours if it's liquid poop. We lost a little faith in humanity that day. Back when I was maybe 8, me and a few of my friends were out playing in a field when some pretty dark clouds rolled in. Being the dumb kids we were, we continued to play, even when it started to downpour. There was probably 5 of us in this group, and one of them was a 7-year-old who always wanted to hang out with the older kids. She started to cry. It wasn't strange for her to cry from time to time, but this was the worst I'd ever seen her cry. She kept demanding that we leave and that she wanted to go back to her house, but for the most part we ignored her. Again, very stupid children, until we finally saw the first flash of lightning. Begrudgingly we all left, running for the patch of trees that was nearby when lightning struck the ground less than 5 feet away from where we were playing just a few minutes prior. That had to be one of the scariest moments of my early childhood, and left me with a deep-seated fear of lightning. Also, yes, my parents did ground me for the rest of the summer for not coming home when the rain started to fall. Met a guy off Tinder at night. We walked around the park near his house and he suggested we go back inside to play Mario Kart. He warned me that his place was a little messy, and I said okay, not a problem, I go inside, and I'm absolutely shocked he's a hoarder and lives with his parents. The entire apartment smelled like cat piss. Poor cat. I was panicking on the inside cause I have asthma and I'm a clean freak, but I didn't want to make him feel bad. It was absolutely horrible and disgusting and so hard to breathe. I was getting some super creepy vibes from him too, and I went to the bathroom and texted my friend to call me in 5 minutes for a level 10 emergency. She called and was crying hysterically on the phone, and I quickly got up and left. My mom and I were visiting my grandfather's grave in the cemetery. Moments later, a disheveled man emerged out of nowhere. "If you want to see him again, tell me," he said. We were really taken aback. "I can help you see him again," he said. Mom put her arm around me and started leading us away. "This is your only chance," he said as we got into the car. By the time we buckled our seatbelts and cranked the engine, he had disappeared. Mom just kind of shrugged it all off as a crazy tweaker we had the misfortune of meeting. We've never really talked about it since. For context, I live in Melbourne. A few years ago a man stabbed his brother, got in a car, drove to the city where I was living, did some donuts in the middle of a busy intersection, right outside my window at the time, and then drove said car down a popular street with many shoppers on it, and killed as many as he could. Donut marks were visible from my window for ages. A couple months ago I was waiting at a different busy intersection in the city and a car started to do donuts in the middle of it. My immediate response was to just bolt and I ran into the nearest store. I didn't even think about it, my brain just immediately assumed his next step was to use the car as a weapon. Eventually he drove off, but my heart was beating very fast. Not that interesting, but yeah. This was years ago. My older cousin, 17 at the time, took my little brother, 5, and sister, 7, and me, 9, out in a big city we live near, and we were standing at this bus stop that was at a small square grass park, probably about 200 feet across. It was January and the park was surrounded by short bushes that still had Christmas lights on them. My brother and I began to wander, and my brother wandered a bit further than me, following a string of lights. A few minutes later I get this weird feeling, and my head shoots up, and about 30 feet away is my brother speaking with this old dirty man. I saw the man reach his hand towards my brother, and I heard him say, "If you like Christmas lights, I have some really nice ones over here you'd love." My brother grabbed his hand and they both started to walk away, but I caught up before they could turn the corner and snatched my brother back. The man immediately turned around and hurried away without a word, and I was too young and scared and confused to confront him. I never told anyone about it until years later for some reason, but I was so overwhelmed with the thought that I had just experienced one of those moments that could have completely altered my life in a matter of seconds. If I had looked up 5 seconds later, they would have turned the corner and disappeared into the city without a trace. Back in 2007, me and my buddy were in high school, and I had just gotten my driver's license. Get tickets to go see a show in Camden. We are from Philly burbs. This is also my first time over in Jersey without an adult. With my last $5 I buy a t-shirt from a guy outside the show. Masters of Metal Tour, Heaven and Hell, Judas Priest, Testament, and Motorhead. It was fucking sick for high school me. We go to drive over the bridge and they're like, "There's a toll, pull off and go to the 7/11 around the corner, there's an ATM." Okay, sure. Do that and pull up to the 7/11 and it straight up looks like there's about to be a gang fight. Me and my scrawny ass friend are in a 1990 Ford Bronco BTW. Put it in reverse, as soon as we see what's going on. We found a cop, explained the situation. He called us idiots and told us a way to sneak over the bridge. Fun night. My elderly neighbor stopped by one day and asked to borrow my phone as his had broken. When I asked if he was okay, he stated that there were some people from the nursing home in his house that shouldn't have been there. We talked to the police and he went home. The police called me back with more information, so I went to my neighbor's house and started asking questions. He invited me in to talk to one of the people in question, but there wasn't anyone there. Turns out, he was hardcore hallucinating. I noped out of there before calling the police back and asking for a wellness check. They took him away in an ambulance, and I never heard what happened after. Was one of the scariest moments of my life, though.